Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we deliver the most important and, I think, surprising insights extracted directly from a pretty dense stack of sources just for you. This month, we've been immersing ourselves in a collection of ArtDig essays, and they're all focused on this massive shift.
It's a huge shift, a dramatic collision, really, between contemporary art, disruptive tech, and the cultural institutions that are supposed to define it all.
It feels like more than a collision, though. What I'm getting from the sources is that it's a fundamental change in the definition of art itself.
Yeah, absolutely. We're moving beyond this simple idea of art and technology to a point where the art is the technology. It's, it's dynamic, it's distributed, and it's transforming everyday life.
Okay, so let's unpack that a little. The core finding seems to be that the traditional boundaries, the walls of the museum, they're just dissolving.
Completely. Art is abandoning the white cube of the museum.
And it's showing up in these functional spaces, right? We're talking major transit hubs, even the floor of the ocean.
Right. So our mission today is really to explore the emergence of what the sources are calling a new ecology of aesthetic experience.
And that comes with some serious challenges.
Oh, for sure. We're going to explore that physical expansion you mentioned, everything from these immersive high-tech installations being woven right into New York's JFK Airport.
To the ocean floor. I mean, the deliberate conceptual transformation of the seabed in Miami's Reef Line project, it's wild.
It really is.
And then we have to tackle the brain of this revolution, artificial intelligence. We'll look at its double-edged power. How AI can give a second life to fragments of a lost Cimabue masterpiece, which is incredible.
But at the same time, it's threatening the institutional authority of museums by just generating its own interpretations for visitors, often without any sources.
Yeah, that's a huge problem we need to get into.
And finally, we'll move from the physical world to the perceptual. We'll discuss how technology is turning your own experience of reality into a canvas.
You mean like wearable interfaces?
Exactly. From Alibaba's Quark AI smart glasses to the, truly revolutionary Expansio smart contact lenses. And we'll dig into what that means for our digital identity.
So it's a journey from infrastructure all the way to your retina. Let's dive in. Okay, let's start with that physical expansion.
Yeah.
The sources, they really hone in on the new Terminal 1 project at JFK Airport. They see it as this fascinating inflection point.
Right. Because it's not just a place where you wait for a plane anymore.
No.
It's being deliberately designed as an environment where the artistic experience is just integrated organically into the whole structure.
The sources call it a paradigmatic shift.
They do, and they've commissioned 7 different artists just for this one terminal.
7 artists.
7, and not to just place art in the airport, but to make the art a core part of the daily dynamic of transit.
But doesn't that risk, turning art into just high-end corporate decoration? What do the sources say about that kind of aesthetic whitewashing?
Well, that critique is definitely present, yeah. But the key distinction the sources make is about accessibility and intent.
Okay.
Because the art is integrated into the flow of the building, it reaches this incredibly diverse, non-art world audience.
People who wouldn't necessarily go to a museum.
Exactly. It forces art into the public consciousness. It challenges that traditional idea that you have to deliberately seek out contemporary work. The airport is just maximizing its reach.
And this blurring of function and aesthetics, it goes way beyond airports. It goes underwater.
Right, and this is where the purpose of art itself just radically shifts. We're talking about the Reef Line project in Miami Beach.
This is a stunning work by the artist Leandro Ehrlich.
Yeah, it involves sinking these concrete cars and other sculptures to form an artificial reef structure. And what's so fascinating is that the aesthetic object, the art, has an explicit function that's, it's more important than just looking at it.
So it's not just a cool-looking sculpture sitting on the seabed.
Not at all. It is, and this is a direct quote, an active ecological intervention. It's aimed at regenerating marine biodiversity. The sources highlight that the concrete, the placement, it's all engineered to encourage coral growth and act as a habitat for marine life.
So the art is the environmental conservation mechanism.
Precisely. Artists are deliberately creating the conditions for life and ecology. It just completely blurs the lines between art and conservation science.
So art is now something you transit through, or something that actively lives and evolves underwater. The whole idea of a container is gone.
And we can connect that dissolution of the physical container to the digital one. architecture itself is becoming a dynamic canvas.
You mean augmented architecture,
Yeah.
like Riffic Anadol's data tunnel in Gorizia.
Exactly. Anadol's installations, they don't just project pretty visuals. The sources say they use algorithmic manipulation of these massive data sets to transform the physical architecture itself into a living, shifting artwork.
It's re-signifying the space using data as the medium.
So if you take these three examples, the airport, the reef, and the data tunnel, they all just underscore this intense permeability of boundaries. Functional spaces are becoming aesthetic spaces.
And the art is integrated, dynamic, and you experience it whether you were looking for it or not.
Right.
So the major takeaway here for you, our listener, is that contemporary art is no longer something optional or niche. It's actively shaping the infrastructure, the ecology, and the public spaces you navigate every single day.
And that transformation relies so heavily on artificial intelligence, which brings us to a really profound conflict, especially for cultural institutions.
Yeah, the sources raise a severe and I think very immediate challenge to human expertise and crucially to institutional authority.
This is being driven by startups, right?
Yeah.
They're implementing AI-generated museum interpretations that are optimized purely for visitor engagement.
So you're in a gallery, you talk to an AI guide, and what it tells you might be based on pattern matching, not research.
Exactly. It's telling you what other visitors wanted to hear, not necessarily what's verifiably true.
And the core problem here, mentioned over and over, is the absence of citable sources. The museum's voice, which is built on centuries of scholarship, is being replaced.
It's being replaced by automated, optimized summaries. When we talk about epistemic authority, that's what we mean. The museum's claim to unique, verifiable knowledge.
And when that knowledge becomes untraceable, just built on engagement metrics, the whole foundation of the museum's truth-telling mission just erodes.
It does, and it raises a critical question.
Who is responsible? Who's responsible when an AI interpretation deceives a visitor or, perpetuates some unverified story?
That's the heart of the crisis, and the consensus from the sources is clear. Museums have to be completely transparent about when an interpretation is AI-generated.
Otherwise, they risk permanently sacrificing public trust.
Right. They're trading deep, verifiable knowledge for shallow, optimized engagement.
So while AI threatens the voice of the present-day museum, it also offers this crucial lifeline to cultural memory, to the past.
Yes, let's pivot to the restorative side of this, conservation.
The emblematic case here is the recovery of Cimabue's frescoes in the Basilica of Assisi.
A total disaster.
Ah,
They're literally shattered, pulverized into hundreds of thousands of tiny fragments during the 1997 earthquakes.
for a human restorer, putting that back together it's just impossible.
An unimaginable task. But now AI is being used to virtually reassemble those countless fragments. It treats it like the ultimate, most complex digital puzzle.
So it's offering a second life to works that seemed lost forever.
It is. It's fundamentally transforming conservation into this hybrid digital and physical practice.
But this incredible power brings us right back to the ethical limits the sources talk about. When AI reassembles the pieces, it has to fill in the gaps. So how much of that final image belongs to Cimabue, and how much is just the machine's best guess?
This is the essential transparency problem all over again. If the algorithm fills in a missing part of a face or a piece of drapery, we have to know where the original fragment ends and the machine's, educated guess begins.
So clear identification is paramount. We need a system to distinguish the original pieces from the algorithmically reconstructed areas.
Yes. The AI should serve to amplify our access to history, but it should never create an untruthful substitute. The machine's contribution has to be noted. It's an astonishing feat of reconstruction, not an act of historical forgery.
Okay, shifting focus a bit now. Let's look at the market. How is all this digital collision affecting value and taste? The sources point to a pretty significant bifurcation, a fracture in the art market itself.
Yeah, you could really see this tension at Art Basel Miami Beach. They launched a new dedicated digital art section called 010.
And this was all about the market embracing spectacle.
Pure spectacle. The centerpiece that got all the attention was a Beeple installation. These robotic creatures, hyper-realistic, wagging their tails with the heads of tech moguls on them.
Yeah, pure high-tech spectacle.
And that focus on the fleeting, attention-grabbing moment. One source even called it digital narcissism. It contrasts so sharply with the enduring value of traditional works.
Right, because at the same fair, a massive traditional Martin Wong triptych was acquired by a major institution.
Exactly. So the market is being pulled in two directions at once.
towards the immediate digital flash and towards the, I guess, the conceptual substance of traditional works, like the new Banksy murals that were also mentioned, which are all about social commentary.
The dichotomy is clear: optimization versus conceptual meaning. And this idea of the algorithm as a new judge of taste, it goes even deeper.
Into aesthetics itself.
Yeah, we see artists like Andrea Crespi. His Artificial Beauty exhibition literally explores how algorithms are redefining aesthetic parameters. It's turning beauty into a computational formula.
So technology isn't just a tool anymore, it's challenging human control over the very definition of what's beautiful.
And this is where it gets really intimate.
Right. If the algorithm is defining the art, what happens when that algorithm is put directly onto our own perception?
This is the revolutionary leap. From art on a screen to art as an interface. We're moving from viewing art to having art mediate our entire experience of reality.
And the sources point to the latest generation of wearable tech.
We're talking about things like Alibaba's Quark AI smart glasses, which are designed to compete directly with Meta and Ray-Ban.
Glasses that layer information and images right onto the world you see.
And then, even more revolutionary, the Expansio smart contact lenses. I mean, think about that. We went from a sculpture in an airport to art that is literally touching your cornea. These devices are the ultimate perceptual interfaces.
Imagine walking through a historic city and getting real-time AI-generated curator's notes delivered directly into your field of vision. It's fascinating, but also profoundly mediating.
And that mediation changes our identity. Look at the photorealistic avatars from Google. They call it likeness. And Apple's personas.
These are the digital evolution of the self-portrait.
Right. Our online presence becomes indistinguishable from our physical self, but it's still fundamentally a construction, an algorithm's construction.
That connects so powerfully back to history. The sources brought up that MoMA exhibition on African studio portraits and how those photos were crucial tools for people shaping their own identity, offering these idealized visions of self-determination.
That's the connection. That underlying human struggle, the tension between your authentic self and your constructed, idealized self is happening all over again. But this time, the creation is algorithmic.
So when our perception is mediated by smart lenses and our digital presence is managed by AI avatars, the question of authenticity just takes center stage.
So the common thread running through this entire deep dive, from ecological sculptors to AI restorers and all the way to perceptual interfaces, it's this pervasive, accelerating permeability of boundaries.
Right. Art is dissolving into everything. Ecology, infrastructure, conservation science.
Market spectacle, and most intimately into our own personal perception.
Past and future, physical and digital, functional and aesthetic. They're all intertwining to create this vastly richer, but also way more complex cultural ecosystem.
We're seeing these extraordinary opportunities for preservation, for unprecedented access, but also these profound risks to institutional truth and to the authenticity of cultural memory in an age of optimization.
Yeah. We started this conversation in an airport, and we ended it literally inside the mechanism of the human eye. So the central question for you, our listener, has to be this. As your experience of art and the world becomes increasingly mediated through smart lenses, algorithms, and virtual spaces, what exactly remains of the authenticity of human experience?
That's the big idea to chew on.
You've only scratched the surface of these transformations. For the full analyses, for deep context on all the sources, and for continuing coverage of art and tech trends, please visit us online at artdig.it.
That's artdig.it.
Subscribe to The Deep Dive for more curated insights and join the conversation on social media. We'll see you next time.